So, this is a test of. Oh, look, this game. This. Now I normally keep the sound on this low, like I've been listening to other things in the background. So, I'm not concerned about things being too loud. They might actually be too quiet for you to hear them. Um, Cause yeah, I keep things real quiet. If that weren't glaringly obvious from how sensitive I am to. Nope, nope, that's too loud in pretty much everything. But a lot of things just are too loud. Um, anyway, um, so I guess I can go through the intro of this, and these are different difficulties, really. Story mode is the easiest one. And then I'll let it do its intro shtick and try not to skip it, because, yeah. And then that'll give me a better idea of how the sound will go. So there are some. They're pre-created characters, but if you don't play them, they are NPCs in the game, and you can have some, but not all of them in your party. And it's not a really big spoiler that you eventually lose access to them. So it gets to a point where whoever you don't have in your party is just no longer accessible. Now, you can solo this game, and there are things that can help with that, but having a broader skill set available means having at least one person, and there's a reason why one person and not the three that you can end up having, because I think you can have three other people. But there's a handful of them, and I have three in mind whose backstories I want to see how they play out in game. Because playing solo, I found the characters that, oh, I know who you're waiting for, or I could see how that person that I don't have with me would interact with you, and that might be interesting. Um, so, but I don't want to spoil any of that. So, the Red Prince is one of the lizard people. Um, she's an elf. Um, he's one of the ones who's this. This is why. Um, so I don't know how to explain how this works. I mean, there's lots of skills, and they come with powers that I would call them all spells. Um, but just straight up fighters get things that work like spells. But sorcerers, and they actually spell it Source because they call what that is source, isn't the regular spell stuff. It has other stuff, but they're being captured and imprisoned and having very bad things done to them in the name of this fucker is the simplest way to put that. We start out on a prison ship, or a ship that's taking us to a prison, essentially. So you start out with a reason to want to see that happen. I think it actually has to for the plot to advance at some point. I'm not sure. I got to a point where I made a decision that, oh, I should maybe have not done that, and I'm not sure I have a save in a point where I can backtrack far enough to undo that. And when you get most of the way through a game and make a decision like that, you put it down for a while, and then I got distracted by other things. Um, his story, I'm also interested in the Dwarf Queen issue. Um, I don't know about hers. Um, he's curious. So, Iffen, Beast, and Fane are the three that I plan to accumulate and drag along with me. But then there's the build your own. Now, I should show you what these different things are. Dwarves start with an earth-based thing. Wow. And all of us get this. But we can't use that, because that actually takes source. These just have cooldowns. And when you... Now, I get to customize my own class. I can tweak that however I want. But when I pick the others up, they all come with default classes, but you can tell them which other base class to start as instead. But that means that they start with whatever that one comes with normally. You don't get to customize them or revamp yourself for a while. So you have to be careful about decisions, and then you get to a point where you have the ability to rearrange choices that you had made previously. And that's helpful, but you gotta wait for it. So, but yeah, dwarves get that. They get sturdy, which does that, and elves. Yeah, corpse eater is a thing. I don't use this. Not that I couldn't. I don't know. I will probably have a use for that at some point. I find elves helpful because this can be helpful. That's not a bad thing to start with, even if you're not someone who is going to end up using the skill. Humans start out with courage. Genius is for crits, and thrifty is bartering. So Iffen ends up, because if you leave him in his default build, which I think is way fairer, it's a type of archery thing. Now, I don't know if the default class you swap them to changes the skills they take, because in the preset you'll see that that's different. So when I pick him up, he ends up with 2 base points on top, or 1. He starts out with a point in bartering on top of this, so he's useful for buying and selling stuff. Fane starts out with Lore Master, like actual points in it. His default is a wizard. So if I find items that need identifying, he would be more useful for that. I don't know what beast starts out with a point in. Um, and then wizards get fire breath, so fire and poison resistance, and persuasion, which is people liking you, which is different from people giving you better deals. That's more for conversational stuff, which isn't really an unusual dynamic if you've ever played a role-playing game. The undead get play dead. I think they all get play dead instead of their normal racial thing. And they give up one of their talents to be undead. So, getting healed is more complicated, but they keep one. So, but yeah. So, Iffin's default, I think, is Wayfarer. Oh. I'm trying to think of stuff you see them use right in the beginning of the game. I can't think of it, but we'll find out. I mean, I'll find out either way, but... And the decisions they make in this regard are why they think you need a vine thong. I don't know. So the preset I start with is more about the kind of gear I wanted to make available right away, because I'm customizing other things. But I think it makes initial decisions based on this, whether or not I change entirely what this comes with. But a lot of types of weapons have durability, and part of what I want is ranged, like a ranged weapon, but wands can do that too. Wands also don't have durability issues, so that's one of my prerequisites. I want a weapon that can do range and doesn't have a durability thing. Bows don't have durability, wands don't have durability, and you can have a wand in one hand and a shield in the other if you want the extra defense, or you can dual wield wands. But swords and daggers, durability, meaning you have to keep fixing them. That's just a kind of maintenance I don't want to have to do. Crossbow. But yeah, wizards start using wands. No. No. Staves have a durability issue just like regular melee weapons. Right now I'm just kind of paging through the show. But Ranger starts me with a bow, which is good. So I've spent more than enough time on that. Now, the names of these are kind of natural based. some of the distinguishing features are easier to see on the pale skin. Some of them have markings and dirt and paint, whatever. Others don't. That's I think that one. And the weird things in your hair, hands, I don't want anything to do with. This hair is nice and straightforward. And I'm gonna go through Gecko, because of course I am. Of course I am. Gecko. Those are fine. And this is where we get to arrange this. Finesse is gonna matter for my bow. Well, strength's pretty straightforward. Melee stuff, lifting. Finesse is what dex-based skills. So mostly archery, but there's also gear that can be based on any of the three. I can think of what gear that's based on a variety of these. Lighter armors, heavier armors, wands, I think. So your stats do impact what you can and can't equip, which is another pretty standard mechanic. Spells would be better. If I put a point there, I can hold more skills in memory, but you can only start with 3, so I don't need to put a point there yet. Wits is for crit, initiative, and finding things. Finding things is good. So, not sucking at that would be good. But I'm also going to end up with at least one spell. So, distributing those more evenly. These combat abilities. Huntsman gives me some specific bow-related things. All of these have special abilities that go with all these skills. The weapons ones do not. They just give you bonuses to the weapons. Different types of defensive abilities. I really like Retribution. I really, really like Retribution. Sure, hit me. You're gonna pay for it. There are other things. But so, that'll give me some bow-related stuff. I can actually just go in order. I start with that because of my race. I mean, none of these are bad, but I start out very early on. There are chests that need opening with picks, because I don't know if I lose some of the contents if I break them open, because I know that's a mechanic in other games, and I don't trust it not to be. So I'm going to have that. But I can go through and show you what those give you for options. Warfare. I mean, the names are pretty fitting to the kinds of things you get, but you can use them. Like, there are a few different ones that can give you the effect of like a teleportation without actually being a teleportation because they're combat skills. Um, but shield thing, knockdown. But these are also all first tier. There are more complicated things, which is where some of the really interesting stuff, including the teleport skills, come from. Now, Huntsman, I'm going to start with a healing thing so that I don't have to take a whole other thing to get healing and whatever, and to take Ricochet. I'm not going to keep Warfare, I just wanted to show what those are. Scoundrel and Pyro, like these are all fairly straightforward. This is where you get backstabby, funky things. And then, but this is also where you get some status buffs and helpful things. Water, so of course there's healing. Arrow Thurge is one of the places where you get, is the place where you get proper teleportation, but not at the first tier. It's where the electrical stuff, air damage, is. But yeah, healing, hail, frost armor, put out fires, pretty straightforward. But I just want to go through all of them to show them. Geomancer and Necromancer, again, these are not unusual concepts. Earth is where the poison is. Necromancy does necromantic type things. Yeah, hurt them, heal you. Yeah. The hurt them, heal you skills are the ones I always find the most useful, even if I don't actually want to raise the dead. Summoning and polymorpher. Yeah. Always a bit more variable. But I'm going to start with you. And you, even though you don't have the specific thing I'm after right away. But I definitely want you and you, and I'll take you. Because you have to actually have the ability that corresponds with one of these to actually be able to learn it even from a book. So, there's that. Now, talents. I'll show them. But that's not a terrible thing, but it's also not going to get used so much. Ideally, that doesn't come up often. Not everybody can make attacks opportunity, I think. not always standing in or on surfaces. Now see, this is the one I'm going to take. This is also useful. This is useful for pretty much everybody that isn't a melee fighter exclusively, because anything that has a range, so wizard types, ranger types, oh, lone wolf is the thing I mentioned. Scroll this down, because there's a bunch, and then there's others that become available as we level up, or some have other prerequisites. Lone wolf is good, and if it were just going to be me, or me and one other, this is why it's me and one other. You get lots of bonuses, and all those investments that I've made, yeah. Meaning you are less effective if you have more people, and you have this. Since I'm planning on having more than 2 people, I'm not going to take it, because then I'm not going to be benefiting from it. Well, I will benefit temporarily, and then once I pick them up, I won't. And I have to wait a while to be able to change things. So, being deliberate in the, okay, what can I make the most use out of under the most circumstances until I can be more nuanced. See, you have to have that to be able to do them at all, which is why the one that counteracts that is less effective than it would be in like a D&D type, where everybody gets the chance. If it starts with that, and there are animals that you can benefit from talking to. I don't think any. I'm not sure if any side questy things require it, but they can shortcut some of it or change the interactions. But if it starts with that, so there are a couple animals I will miss out on being able to talk to, but they die anyway, because the ship we start out on goes down. So the sheep that were on it that die anyway, I don't think I benefit. Well, I'm sure there are things that they could tell me, but they're not necessary. Now this is a very tempting thing. Not necessarily for this character, but just I think about a mage type and go, oh yeah, my magic can crit, sure. These require things I don't have. But I have the one. Now, tags give you some extra dialogue options in some places. And then these influence, let's see, how the background music for your character plays. I have it quiet enough that I don't necessarily notice the difference either way, but this is how all that goes. I can redo it if I change my mind about stuff. Right now this is just showing you this part. It is also serving as an audio test.
It all happened like I knew it would. A single drop of source magic. And, like flies to honey, the monsters swarmed. The rebel panicked. The carnage began. And the magisters pointed their fingers at me. Just as I'd planned. I was shackled and collared. And sent to Fort Joy.
We're all collared. Those are some of those other folks. Fort Joy is where we're going.
I'd come here to kill Godwoken. But instead I became part of their story.
Magisters are shitbags. Not all of them, but most of them. Now, they even call this the tutorial deck of this ship. There is a sheep that I can't talk to, but any secrets it might have, I can circumvent anyway. But I'm gonna leave it here because this is just a test and we have gotten to the actual game, and I have had enough audio stuff to make, well, let me hear. I don't actually need to. That'll at least give me an audio test for effects, because that one has sound that goes with it. Alright, anyway, I'm rambling, as I do.